remote for this once, but I lost it. Hello, everyone. I am Gander of VATOCLAN, and I'm here at IPL4. With me is it IS or I7 is the abbreviation?
IS.
IS. Yeah. With Infinity 7 Axslav. Axslav, how's the new team treating you?
It's pretty good. It's a lot of young people on the team. They're all hungry for wins, and we're all working really hard. And there's a lot of enthusiasm in the team, more so than some of the older guys. So it's really nice.
Enthusiasm, as in like practice, or overall excitement? Are they the type to, hey, we're gonna have a new idea and hammer it out, or is it an overall thing?
Well, I mean, it's at every top level team, everyone's practicing a lot. It's not like we necessarily practice 10 times. That's impossible because everyone's practicing, with every free moment they get. But it's the fact that there are people who haven't established their names in the scene, and so there's that extra motivational drive factor. They're hungry for the win. Whereas some of the guys who are a little more established, they're like, well, maybe I'll get a win, maybe I won't. But they have like a safety net because they have that established name that some of these young guys don't have, and makes them a little extra hungry.
It must make for exciting times there. You've just recently joined that team. That was a couple of months ago. What's the word I'm looking for? Sorry, my vocabulary has failed me. What are some of your favorite practice partners so far that people should look into for other IS members?
I mean, I practice with everyone on the team pretty much. I haven't gotten a chance to actually play much of Crazy Moving because he's in Korea. But Jay Echo is very good. Insure's good, Pyre's good, and also Sandbox, one of our little bit lesser known players. He's good too. But it's not like I practice only with my new team. I still practice with all the guys I used to still practice. My Zerg partners practice Chef and Red a lot. I practice a lot of old EG guys, and pretty much anyone who I can find. I like to get a wide variety of practice partners.
And I had a question about gameplay for you. Recently, I've been watching a lot of games, and I wanted to know what you thought about the sort of two base 7-gate timing thing that I've seen a couple times recently. Have you practiced that, or are you familiar enough to speak with that build's viability?
It's definitely a very viable build versus Terran. We've seen a lot of the top Korean protosses use that as the pressure Terran because you need a lot of those basic units versus Terran anyway. There's no point getting Charge or Blink without a big gateway army, so it's naturally to get gateway army first and then Charge or Blink because that way you can apply a little pressure. You'll see it crop up a lot against Zerg. And against Zerg, I think it's more of a trend right now where a lot of protoss have kind of given up on trying to take a third. The Zerg macro game is too strong. They're too scared of Broodlords. It's very hard right now to play the later game versus Zerg. And some protoss are going for that 7-gate there versus Zerg, but I don't think that's a trend that's going to continue. Unless the Zerg makes a pretty significant mistake, those 2-base pushes just don't work. And a good example of that is Huck has some of the best 2-base pushes in the world. Maybe only MC tops him. And he played him about as well as he could versus Curious, and it just looked silly because Curious played, he played safe, he played solid, he scouted, he reacted, and, the builds just don't work if the Zerg plays correctly. So I think we're going to see, as Protoss maybe experiment more, get a little more confidence in finding out an answer to Broodlords or an answer to Mass Roaches, the way to defend your third, we're going to see the trend shift towards other builds.
What do you think is the biggest weakness of that particular playstyle? The lack of Robo, or maybe the lack of Phoenix?
Definitely for Zerg, the big weakness is you don't have any way to deal with Roaches. There's two ways to do it. One is you can either just do the really fast 7-8 gate, which is gateway units, and then once the Zerg gets out a bunch of Roaches, you just can't fight Zerg. Like, pure gateway units don't beat Roaches. It doesn't happen unless you way outnumber them, so it's all in. The other way to do it is with +2 weapons and a blink. And if you get a large number of Stalkers, you can beat Roaches pretty easily. But the problem is, as soon as they add Infestors, then your army's useless again, because Roaches will beat Stalkers if they can't blink. So there's only certain timings where you can have a chance to compete with the Zerg with those builds, and that's why they're timing pushes. So that as soon as the Zerg knows that you have to go for this timing push once you committed to this build, then all you have to do is just make sure their defense is solid at that point in time, and it's just not going to work.
Now, we are here at IPL4. I know you played in IPLs 1 and 2, but you didn't play in 3. This is the first live IPL event you've played. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And how do you feel about this event, production value compared to other events you've played in?
It's a little bit hard for me as a player to always tell the production value because I can't see the stream. I can't see, what's going on behind the scenes so well. But as a player, as far as the things they have set up the tournament, it's really nice. the great thing about here is that they had a lot of computers, so that the bracket, they did the entire open bracket in one day because they could just keep running games. And I think that was a lot better to how, to how some other tournaments where you play like once every 4 hours because there's not enough computers to fit everyone. And also, I've been in the main stage. Their seating, they have a ton of seating. There's never any lack of seats, and it's they've got a lot of big TVs. It's just the main stage is the best main stage I've seen so far.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the fact that they've got in addition to the 3 screens that they have in the front, they also have one that's kind of further back centered in the room. So even the people that do have the further back seats have, clear access and be able to read the supply and be able to read all the Army tab and things like that. Now, have you ever been to Vegas before?
Yes, actually, I was in Vegas about 2 or 3 weeks ago I had a friend who had a bachelor party, so I'm kind of a little bit done with the traditional Vegas activities. I kind of got that out of my system. So here I'm just here for the games and just to watch and have fun.
All right. And one of the questions that I've had a lot of fun asking players is, what is the origin of your ID, Axslav?
Yeah, okay, so I actually wrestled in high school. And my junior and senior year, we had a coach who was from Belarus, or former Soviet Union. When he moved out, it was still the Soviet Union back then. And he speaks both English and Russian, but when he gets excited or is trying to coach, sometimes he kind of combines the languages to form words that nobody knows what they mean because they're actually not real words in either language. And so that was one of the words he said. He was just, and it has no meaning, but it just sounded cool, sounded aggressive. So I'm like, all right, it should be a good tag.
And how many years were you in wrestling? That's kind of neat.
I wrestled 3 years in high school, and then I did some other martial arts too. But as far as wrestling, just the 3 years.
Ever do any MMA or anything like that?
I trained a little bit of like self-defense fighting, whereas when you spar, you have to do MMA style sparring, so you mix in, kickboxing, Muay Thai, boxing, jiu-jitsu, and wrestling, that type of stuff. So I'm not great at any one thing, but I'm kind of not terrible at everything. That makes sense.
Oh yeah, that makes perfect sense. And I think that's a pretty good way to be. Mind if I ask what your record? Have you ever took any championships home in wrestling?
Oh, no, I wasn't like a super competitive wrestler. I mean, in my senior year when I actually was the team captain, and I won all my matches in our division, but my team was a weak team. We were at the very bottom division. So I won all our division matches, and then when I go to tournaments where it's all the divisions, I'd win maybe 50-60%, and I get, I'd be somewhere in the slightly above average, but nowhere close enough to, to go on to the high ranks in tournaments.
All right, awesome. You have any shout-outs, any thank yous, anyone you want to say hi to?
Oh, yeah, definitely give a shout out to my new team. They're great people, and all our, great sponsors, SteelSeries, Deviant Arts, Z-Motion, and Twisted Oak Studios.
All right, excellent. Thank you for the interview, Axslav, in wrestling, man. That's so cool. I would never expected, man.
Thank you.
Where'd my button go?